Are you on edge? Come on. We live in challenging, edgy times, so let's lean in. I'm Sandra Bargman, the host of The Edge of Every Day, which airs bi-monthly on MaximizeU.life and iTunes. Tune in live with me and my friends and colleagues as we share stories and courageous conversations about pushing boundaries, exploring our rough edges, and walking between the worlds of what is and what is yet to be. Join me, Sandra Bargman, on the edge of every day on MaximizeU.life. Hello, everyone. I'm Sandra Bargman, and welcome to the Edge of Every Day, now at MaximizeU.life. Are you a change maker? Do you walk between worlds, between cultures, between systems? If you answered yes to any of these questions, the Edge of Every Day is the place for you. In a nutshell, this podcast is about pushing boundaries and exploring rough edges. Through conversations and shared stories with friends and colleagues, it's my hope that we can begin to understand our edges. And what I mean by edges is those places where we are fearful, those places where we are resistant to change, those places where paradox and contradicting identities live in our beliefs and in our understandings, both individually and collectively. We live in edgy, challenging times. We cannot keep looking away from the ugly, from the difficult, and silence is no longer an option. Life isn't black or white, it's both, and I want to talk about that. I want to face the tension of paradox, and I want to engage in hard conversations. I want to explore the rough edges between our light-filled brilliance and our dark, shadowy corners, because the more we recognize our own edges and get real about them, the more we can help others to do the same. And that, I fully believe, can help to change the world. So, thanks again for tuning in. In today's episode, we focus in on connection. I am of the strong opinion that so many of the ills we experience in today's world, the dark and truly ragged edges in our world today, are from a lack of connection, a disconnect from ourselves, from each other, from our very home, Mother Earth, and from a far more vast sense of connection to and curiosity about all that is, the great mystery of life. The focus of today's episode is connection in business. Leading business authority and co-author of The Go-Giver, a Wall Street Journal and Business Week best-selling book by Bob Burg, said, "The single greatest people skill in a highly developed and authentic a highly developed and authentic interest in the other person," end quote. In plain terms, that's the skill of connection. Today, we are live in the hive with Amy Lynn Durham, a UC Berkeley certified executive coach, CEO of Create Magic at Work, and, as her clients call her, the corporate mystic. In today's episode, we explore how leadership in business is shifting to address that rough edge of connection. So without further ado, it's time to introduce our guest. Amy Lynn Durham is a former corporate executive and a recovering workaholic. She is the CEO of Create Magic at Work, with the vision of transforming workplaces into vibrant hubs of creativity, productivity, and fulfillment. Drawing upon her extensive background in the telecommunications industry, Amy recognized the need for holistic approaches to organizational development and leadership enhancement. Amy works with clients and organizations through workshops, trainings, and individual coaching. Amy is the host of Create Magic at Work podcast and the author of both the prompt journal, Creating Career Magic, and the activity book, Create Magic at Work. Through her multifaceted endeavors, Amy epitomizes the mission of Create Magic at Work to inspire intentional leadership, innovative strategies, and a culture of collaboration, transforming workplaces into thriving environments where magic is not merely a concept, but a tangible reality. Oh, how I love that. Hello, my friend. Hello, Amy Lynn Durham. Welcome to the Edge of Everyday.
Hi, Sandra. Thank you. I'm just excited to be here with you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's a complete pleasure. I'm so excited to have you on. And I just adore you as a person. You know, I've known you clearly from, yes, clearly listeners, we know each other. This is just me. I just adore Amy. I adore the work that she does. She's had me on as a guest on her podcast, and I just am enamored of all that you're doing. And in a world, in a place that is a difficult place to do what you do. It can, as we're well going to talk about, can be resistant. And I am not in the corporate world. I step into it as needed with clients and into that mindset, but I don't live my day there. So, and you have, so you have your hand on the pulse in a much bigger way than I do. But anyway, before we get going on all of that, we have to do all my little fun beginning of the episode things. I like to share how we know each other. Amy and I met through a group that we are both a part of, Edgewalkers .org, Edgewalkers International, and now they have Edgewalkers Academy. And Amy and I both did the Edgewalkers facilitation coaching certification. Yeah. So how did you discover Edgewalkers?
Yeah. I love Edgewalkers.
We both love Edgewalkers.
Yeah. It's been amazing being a part of Edgewalkers. I discovered Edgewalkers through the spiritual intelligence community.
Oh, okay.
And I think it really just kind of came across my screen. And that's sort of the way the SQ21 community came across as well. Like one day it showed up on my computer. I really don't.
I love it. Well, I discovered the SQ community through Edgewalkers the other way, like Cindy Wigglesworth, whom I've had on the show. I met her through a Edgewalkers cafe.
Yeah, I love Cindy. Yeah, well, if I go all the way back, I left my corporate job, kind of traveled a little bit, wrote the book Create Magic at Work, ended up going to UC Berkeley Executive Coaching Institute. That was transformative. Left there. And then I was getting interviewed on a lot of podcasts about spiritual intelligence.
Okay.
I was studying Dana Zohar's work quite a bit. She's a philosopher and a physicist that does a lot of work in the spiritual intelligence space. And then one day the SQ21 came across I really don't know how, I feel like it popped up. And so then, and then I became an SQ21.
Magic. You created magic.
And then, I love being part of that community. And then all of a sudden, I think I saw Dr. Judy Neal post something, and it said Edgewalker in her bio or something like that. And I was like, Edgewalker, oh, okay, yep, okay. Judy, hi, my name's Amy. I need to be a part of this. And it just went on from there.
I need to know you. Yeah, I need to. Well, I kind of had the same thing. I started using the phrase walking the edges of communities, and I just one day Googled that phrase, and edgewalkers.org came up. And I, mind blown, reached out to Judy in the same way when I need to know you. You need to be a guest on my podcast, which is called What? The Edge of Everyday. So anyway, so I can trace so much back that's happening in my life, and Amy is a part of that too. this podcast and the Edgewalkers community. That's why I asked. I really like to reference that community as much as possible in all of my podcasts. So today, May 1st, happy May Day, Amy.
Thank you. Happy May Day.
Are we going to dance around some poles later today? It's also National Executive Coaching Day, which is so apropos for
Perfect.
you. Yeah. And it's
Perfect.
Global Love Day, which isn't that every day, but I love that, when you Google these things, it specifically has May 1st, Global Love Day.
Okay, we'll take it with Create Magic at Work, right?
Exactly. And Beltane, it is Beltane. And for those pagans out there, you know what that is. For you non-pagans, it is a pagan holiday. It's between the spring equinox and the summer solstice. It celebrates the peak of spring. And it means specifically what they think that the word Beltane references is the fires of Bel. Bel likely referred to the Celtic sun god Belinus. Lighting the Beltane fires on the 1st of May was a symbolic move to recall the growing power of the sun
Mm.
and to cleanse the community of the dark months spent indoors. And I, in honor of Beltane, you're going to love this. Pulled this candle out for you, Ms. Amy. Modern Magic in
Oh, I
honor of
love it. Oh
Create
my gosh,
Magic.
that looks like it came from Create Magic at Work or
I
something.
know, right?
Yeah.
Uh, this is in your honor. Create
I love
Magic
it.
or candle. So you should have that in your merch,
I'm
all
right.
your
Yeah.
growing merch.
Yes.
And I will definitely purchase one of those. Okay, so as I like to ask my guests, what identity do you lead with?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I know that this is your question, and I feel like I want to, this is such a deep question for me because this is kind of how Create Magic at Work was born. I
Hmm.
used to lead with the corporate executive identity when I would walk into a room most of the time. I had a spiritual awakening in around 2015, and I was spiritual Amy at home and corporate Amy at work. And I was compartmentalizing those two things. And then when I attended the Berkley Executive Coaching Institute, I really merged both of those things together. So the identity I lead with now, I feel like, is the corporate mystic, like combining those two things
Like a good
together.
edge walker. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And it's a daily practice for all of us to
Mm.
try to show up in every room as who we feel we are authentically. And we don't get it right all the time, but I think that's what I lead with now is the corporate mystic. Yeah.
I love that. And I love that you said we don't get it right because we don't have to get it right. I mean, we're not embodied on this planet to get quote right. Like, what is that? It's like
Yeah.
this constant expansion.
Hmm.
And I mean, if we got it right, why would we incarnate?
Yeah.
You
Such a good
know?
reminder. Yeah. I tell my clients often do it messy,
Yeah.
you
There's
know?
no such thing as perfection. Just dive right in. And I love that you also use the word compartmentalize.
Hmm.
Because I think so many people are such a kind of a victim of like you have felt, and I know that I felt this way too. I very much kept, you know, I thought I was very much out with my spirituality, and people who knew me well would probably have said that I was that. But there was a part of me that felt that I was definitely compartmentalizing, and I just used that word when I was just recently back from India and I gave a presentation for impactful communication, which combines my work as an actor, actor skills, and as a director, all of those skills with emotional intelligence and spiritual intelligence. And I said in this presentation, I don't compartmentalize the three tracks that I have. anymore. At least I hope I don't, or I try to what you said. I do my best every day to show up as all of those things and hopefully move through them seamlessly as
Mhm.
needed.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes it's a little interesting. I've noticed if I look at myself, if I try to observe and have some self-awareness, I have found being in this space, it's a little hard to sit with small talk anymore.
Oh, yeah, no. Yeah.
Like,
I kind of
especially,
always, as an extroverted introvert, I was kind of that way all the time.
yeah.
Like just can and thought there was something wrong with me as a young person. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, it's really very difficult.
Yeah,
How do you,
I go right to the deep and I'm like, oh wait, let me
yeah,
let me
I
go
know
back a
it's,
little
and it could
bit.
be like a little, wait, this is too much. Wait, Will Rogers, this does not compute. And you're like, oh, put on the brakes.
Exactly.
Oh, Amy, I so relate to that. That would be the story of our lives. So anyway, you mentioned, I'm going to jump ahead because you said this great thing in what you just shared that you had the spiritual awakening. So that makes me want to jump to a question that I have. Like, what rough edge, what caused you to make this break? Was it your spiritual awakening that caused you to leave the corporate world that put you on the path to create magic at work?
Mhm.
Talk to me. Tell me that story.
I mean, short answer would be yes. Longer answer would be I think it led to that.
Mm.
I I was in a place where I couldn't sustain who I was anymore.
Oh,
Um, and that's really the truth of it today as I look back. My creativity was being stifled. And I worked for a really overall measurably great company. I had great friends, great colleagues. I planned for a year on how I was going to leave my job because it really felt like a life purpose thing I needed
yeah.
to do. And the way that I planned was how do I want to leave this space? How do I want to leave my team feeling? I had a little over 400 employees. I was
Oh,
I was managing a $38 million profit and loss P&L a year, and I loved my team. Um, but the things that we were doing were grueling. It was hardcore sales, publicly traded company. I was flying around all the time. One of the goals when I left my job was I'm going to sleep in my same bed for 30 days in a row. That was, like I'm not going to be in a hotel. I'm not going to be on an airplane. And I'm so great. At the same time, I'm so appreciative for those times because I hardly travel at all anymore now. And
yeah.
I look back and I'm like, oh my gosh, how did I do that? But ultimately, my my spiritual awakening, I had to start bringing it to work. I had to start bringing the activities I was doing in a faith neutral way to my team. And I wanted to prove that we could succeed in a win-win way where people could feel good, people could see the humanity in each other, and we can actually have productivity and profitability. I didn't want to leave that space and everyone say, oh, yeah, well, she's like woo woo, she couldn't hang, or, those kinds of things. I'm competitive. Um,
Well, yeah. Oh, yes, I can be deep and competitive and ambitious and in a very healthy and a connective, conscious way.
yeah.
Mm,
Yeah. And I wanted to show like you don't have to be cutthroat and have unhealthy competition to hit your numbers
yeah.
point blank. Um, and I did. And I gathered all those activities I did with my team and I put them in my book. So if I always say I wrote my book, Create Magic at Work, for the beer drinking golf guys I used to work with.
I
Uh,
love that.
because they were my friends. They still are my friends. They had the biggest hearts. They just needed a place to start.
Yeah.
And so they can grab it, flip to a page, and use it as a jumping off point if they want to do an activity. Sandra, I had grown boiler room like salesmen doing like intention setting with flying wish paper and like crying. And it was just, I'm like, this is what I want to do. I want to leave, kind of figure out how I'm going to bring this back into the corporate space.
Yeah.
And that's how I re-injected myself back in with Create Magic at Work. It was not easy. It was not a linear path, and it still isn't. In fact, I used quite a bit of my retirement to invest in my company and in this belief.
Yeah.
So I could have gone off and done something different. And I often, when I have down days, I think about that. Like, I see my old colleagues, C-suite this, that, and I'm here in the magic corner.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day,
The magic corner.
that's what I call this space here, the magic corner.
That's brilliant. Oh, perfect.
Yeah, but
Um,
it's where I'm supposed to be today.
well, I so hear that. And as edgewalkers, we feel that way too. When you're on the cutting edge and knowing that you have to lead the way and make the path, it is lonely. And I mean, I don't want to say, ignorance is bliss is not what I mean, but the sense of, it's not by accident that status quo is in the center of the circle and nice and comfy.
Yeah.
And that people who are in the magic corner, people who are edge walkers, who are beaten down the path, it's not so comfy. It doesn't have all of the cushy comforts, and it is lonely, and people need to be educated and coaxed and made to feel safe. And yet there's, for those of us who feel that that drum beating within our hearts, we've got to go for it. I mean, ultimately if you know that if you went back to those creature comforts, you'd be like, I want my magic
Yeah.
corner.
Yeah.
I know, but it's like always the way, right? It's the edge of every day, the paradox.
Mhm.
Oh, how do I find that balance for me? And to repeat what you said in a different instance, you just work at it every day, right? Some days are lovely and balanced, other days are ugly and messy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to jump back to, and we've touched on your book, which, by the way, I have here for those of you who are listening. Only I have the copy, a signed copy by the author, into my camera, and I love this book, this small but mighty book. So I have a quote here that I wanted to uh, read and get your, this is so appropriate for you. Business, the motor of our society, has the opportunity to be a new creative force on the planet, a force which could contribute to the well-being of many. For that to occur, we must all substantially increase our commitment to integrity and accountability and courageously make a quantum leap in consciousness. And to me, that's what Create Magic is. Create Magic is about creating a quantum leap in consciousness. And that's what you're doing. For those listening, that's Harman and Horman, 1990. So talk to me. What compelled you to, you touched on it. What compelled you to write this book?
Yeah. So the book is like has the field tested activities that I used back in my corporate space, but with it's the spiritual intelligence activities.
Right.
And what's really funny is one of the activities in the book, well, let me go back a little bit. So I purposely made this book childlike and whimsical for people in the workplace that feel like they are at a soul crushing job. I don't think it's I don't think it's a coincidence that people use that phrase, I'm at a soul crushing job.
Yeah.
And also for people that are even at a great place, but they want to connect more. They want to elevate. They want to take that quantum step leap
Yeah.
into incorporating consciousness in the workplace. And so when you feel the book, my hope and intention was that you feel magic the minute you grab it. I purposely hired a Scholastic book editor to edit the book because of
Mm.
I loved the Scholastic book fairs when I was a kid. I was always like hiding
That's
and
brilliant.
reading.
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's some of the magic that's injected into it. The other magical piece, there's three components, four, I guess, if you count me. But,
And
um,
let's do that.
okay. The second component is an illustrator that I'm friends with who's very magical. So I put illustrations in it, which I thought was a bold move for a corporate book because I wanted that childlike, whimsical feel. So Martin did the magical illustrations. And then during the height of lockdown pandemic, uh, had Chad Beckerman design the book, and he designed the Diary of a Wimpy Kid books. And so that's the childlike magic
Mm.
that I infused in the book. And Chad and I collaborated while it's really cool thinking about it, looking back. He was in lockdown in New York City and his place, and we were just meeting on Zoom, collaborating on the design. And we were kind of playing around with title, creating magic. There was all these lengthier titles, and we landed on Create Magic at Work. And the brand was born from there.
Yeah. And it's so great. And it's edgy enough to kind of make people go, oh, create magic at work. And not edgy, and yet still invitational and childlike and all of the things. Yeah. I think it's so great.
Thank you.
And and I love the exercises. I've checked out the exercises. And really they're for anyone that is looking. Again, the focus is to connect people. These exercises are about getting people connected, and in business, the importance of the non-isolation, the in a DEI world where people are breezing through DEI and still not connecting. You've got some great exercises here that are really about sharing, about connecting in a deep, depth-filled way.
Yeah. One of the exercises in the book is on intention setting.
Mm.
And
Which is a big part of the big approach.
and I use flying wish paper. This is from Create Magic at Work. Um, to do that, where you write your intentions on a tissue and you light it on fire and send it out into the universe, or you write down something you want to let go of, you light it on fire. So I would bring this to my team meetings. One time we had a really grueling quarterly business review. I would always end with something like this with my team. So they would leave feeling magical, feeling
Yeah.
connected. Um, and the power for that that comes from having the courage and the vulnerability to do an exercise like this in the workplace, you can't deny it.
No.
And it does come a little easier for me because I'm into it. I love it. I could imagine some people like, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this? Like, I'm going to have everyone light this on fire. Like, you can't do this at work, or and set an intention and send it to the out to the universe. But it's becoming a lot more. I think it's becoming a lot more. I don't know, a lot more prevalent in the workplace now. I feel like spirituality is the next wave,
Oh,
and
completely.
it just to the power of it. I had a very diverse team, but at the same time, we were all working so hard. It was hard for us to really connect and see you like, oh, just like you, I'm sorry, just like me, you're trying to work through this. You're trying to avoid pain. You're trying to experience joy in life, whatever that looks like. And one of the most profound moments I ever had with the Flying Wish paper was we had everyone gathered around after one of our and this person's okay that I share this story. It's in my book. We had everyone gathered around after a meeting in a retreat that I had coordinated, and we were going around sharing what we were going to let go of because it was a pretty tough one. And one of my members on my team had written that they were going to forgive their parents because they had came out when they were younger and had been kicked out of the home. And we held space for that team member. I'm going to cry. And it was like one of the most beautiful experiences I've ever been able to be a part of. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is it. This is where it's at.
Yeah.
And the rest of the team was just like, like healthy silence for that person. And also we left that day, that night, that experience so much more connected.
Yeah. Well, and you're describing the power of ritual.
Yeah.
And there's no place where ritual doesn't work. That power of transformation, connection, and vulnerability of ritual. It's a go in any group. And the fact that we've disconnected it from our work blows my mind. That somehow it's only occasionally on a Sunday in a church.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's all the time, anywhere.
Yeah. And I don't want to sound uh harsh by taking it to this next point, but I think it needs to go to this next point, which is we left with my attrition rates were amazing. I had long time retention with my team.
Yeah.
If you are a leader that operates from a spiritually intelligent space, you do increase productivity and profitability because people want to work for you. You will attract top talent. You will have time to do your own job because we left that space and the rest of the people on my team were so connected. They call each other all the time. Hey, they know how to do their job more than I do. So instead of my phone blowing up, they were collaborating with each other and I could do what I needed to do for them. And it's this whole beautiful, like I said in the very beginning, win-win. Like nobody has to lose in this.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Hardly a harsh point, my friend, and
Okay,
incredibly
thank you.
necessary. I mean, no, wake up, wake up. And,
Mhm.
I've had my listeners, if you're here because you know the podcast, you know that we've talked about spiritual intelligence and we've had Cindy Wigglesworth on here. So I'm not going to delve necessarily all that deeply into what that is. And people who are here to listen to you also understand what spiritual intelligence is. And but I do real quickly, because I heard this in one of your others and I loved it. What's the difference between how you chose to describe it? It was great and it was so quick and so insightful. The difference between emotional intelligence and spiritual intelligence. You gave this really succinct, wonderful way of understanding it that I want my listeners to know.
Oh, okay. I hope I can do it again.
Well, I'll help you along
Yeah. So,
because I heard it,
so
but
yeah. So emotional intelligence is like the I feel
yes, and
part, and spiritual intelligence is like the I am.
yes, you got it.
Okay.
That's exactly what I was like. Yeah. I mean, because I always tell people, you need to be able to do things in 6 words, just 6 words. And I was like, and you came up with that phrase, and I went, brilliant. I'm totally stealing that. I'm totally going to use those words to describe the difference between emotional intelligence and spiritual intelligence. Wonderful. So let's see, we have time for a couple more questions. So oh, by the way, I want to make sure that I also talk about your deck. I love this
Ooh,
deck too.
yay.
Yay. Well, and when, not if, when you go and you listen to Amy Lynn Durham's Create Magic at Work podcast, she pulls these cards in her interviews. And so I wanted to do that with you. So I did it before, and you're gonna love the card I pulled. It's right on top, waiting.
Oh my gosh. Are you
Uh-huh.
serious?
I totally sat down. I
I
got
love
ready to
it.
go. I got myself all centered. I lit the candle. I thought about our conversation and my excitement in seeing you. And I pulled the magic card,
Gosh,
folks.
you made me cry again.
Uh-huh. The words I speak create my world. What words can I speak to create harmony in my life? What are my clear goals for the next 4 weeks? That's the prompt that's on this particular card. Tell us quickly about these cards and how people can utilize them, not only in their work life, but also in their private life.
Mhm.
And
Well,
then and then at the end of our conversation, I'll ask you to give us some words that create our world.
oh wow. Okay.
No pressure.
Yeah. First off, I don't think I've ever had someone pull a card for me, so that was really special. I mean, from the deck that I authored, like that was really cool. Thank you for thinking of that.
Oh,
I'm just super
you.
appreciative. That was amazing for me. Um, the deck was born from the book. There's an activity in the book called Journaling with a Twist, and I think we were on second lockdown at the time. And I have deeply studied the tarot for probably a decade now. And I wanted to give everyone a tool that they could use in the workplace for their career to close their eyes, pull a card like you did for me,
Mm.
and get a message meant for them and something to help tap into their inner wisdom. And that's where it came from. So I really just asked universe to give me 33 cards from the tarot that they wanted in this deck. And I took those 33 cards from the tarot and I authored different themes and affirmations from those cards. And then I used Mary Bell again to do the illustrations.
Yeah,
So
that's fabulous. They're
yeah, and
beautiful.
they're very simple illustrations, but they have deep symbolism in them because she's
Mm.
familiar with the meaning
Tarot and yeah, all of.
behind them. Yeah.
Well, and simple is potent.
Hmm.
Absolutely potent. And we are trying to awaken and connect people at different levels of consciousness and awakening. So that's a good thing. Well, I'm thrilled to be the first to do that for you, my friend. And I'm thrilled that I got, magic. I had to laugh on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, you. Hello. Well, so I suppose the last question that we have to really time for, what rough edges are you seeing in leadership, in leaders, in people in positions of quote unquote power in the as the landscape of leadership shifts?
Hmm.
You have mentioned that you are really seeing the next wave as being a spiritual wave, and people in our world are very familiar with a workplace spirituality, but you're really out there in such a connected way. What are the shifts that you're seeing in 21st century leadership as it, not only in connection, but again, I think connection's really at the heart of all of these rough edges and shifts. So
Hmm.
to you.
Yeah. There's a lot that I'm seeing that's interesting to me. One of the surprising shifts for me that I started to notice was, and this has actually been going on for a couple of years now, which is really encouraging, is that human resources in companies are actually, I'm going to sound so sarcastic right now because I have that part of my
Do it.
personality,
This is the edge of
but
every day. Do it.
but they're actually be like holding up to the title of like human resources. And that's been that's been surprising to me, coming from the world I came from, where yes, the HR people that helped me were very helpful, but it wasn't their fault. It was more of the systems we were in, where it was like, we just need to safeguard the entity from being sued. Was kind of, was
Right.
kind of like the vibe of
Was
human.
was not necessarily about resources for humanity. Although,
Exactly. And it's been really encouraging to see that it's changing in that way. And
mm,
it's really becoming more and more what I was surprised, coming from the hardcore type sales team type mentality. We kind of avoided HR, like, don't invite them to
right.
our party. Like, we want to have a good time. Like that kind of thing. And most of the interest in Create Magic at Work and in my work is coming from that space. And I'm like,
Mm,
oh my gosh, here I was like the cool kid hiding from HR, and they're they're the biggest area of the workplace that has been attracted to Create Magic at Work. And that's been really cool, really cool. So that's one thing that I see. The other thing that's interesting is, as this spiritual, this inner wisdom, this quantum leader um, space kind of opens up more and more in the workplace, my hope is that the systems that aren't working for people anymore just sort of die out,
yeah.
because it would make sense that we would choose to work for a quantum leader if we want to do work for the greater good,
Yes.
versus a different type of leader that might be toxic. And
Yeah.
so if we make those choices, if we empower ourselves to choose to work for a quantum leader that wants to make business decisions for the greater good, for where their decisions ripple out to communities, to the planet, to humanity as a whole, we can actually help with that systemic change with our choices.
Amen. It all begins within that connection to self, that self-awareness, which is in the number one foundational key to the landscape of leadership in the 21st century. Not only for leaders, but for everyone.
Yeah. I do see a lot more of a light shined on the toxic workspace with people that are courageous enough to speak out. I think
That's
that's
great.
also a little more prevalent. So those are all of the things that I see kind of bubbling up. And
Yes,
they have
emerging.
been for a while, right? When I first started Create Magic at Work
And when was that? When did you create it? First
in
create it?
2020. Yeah, very beginning of 2020, 3 months before lockdown. It was like
Right.
super. I'm like, okay, so we're doing this.
Yeah.
um, um, but yeah, when I first, it was like people were like, wait, what? How are you talking about that in the workplace? Like, what's the put?
Mm,
Every podcast interviewer that interviewed me would say, what's the pushback you get for this? That was like the most common question.
of course. Mm.
Um, but it seems like it's really being embraced now, which, yeah, here we are, 4 years later. But
Wow.
yeah.
Well, and of course, yeah, uh, as somebody who's not in that community, it wouldn't be my most pressing question to ask, what's the pushback? Because I mean, people like you and I have had pushback all our lives.
Yeah.
So, what back to that point of being an edge walker,
Mhm.
if you're always intuiting what's coming down the pike and saying it out loud, then you're getting pushback constantly. So it's not necessarily, but the people in the center and the more the status quo, they're the ones that are going to be concerned about the pushback, I would think.
Yeah. How is this going to affect me? Is this going to disrupt
The
my
system. And the bottom line is I think, I know you're correct. The systems are breaking down, and
Mhm.
it's uncomfortable and messy and chaotic. But rebirth and rebirth is a bit bloody.
Yeah.
So a bit messy. Well, I have a million more questions for you, but of course, as is always the case, never enough time. Um, and for those of you who want to connect and ask your own questions of Amy, you can go to her website. Tell us how everyone can find you, Amy.
Yeah. Createmagicatwork.net is the best place to go. And also LinkedIn, just Amy Lynn Durham on LinkedIn. I'm doing a lot of fun stuff on LinkedIn. As you mentioned, this can feel chaotic. The breaking down, the building of something new. That's really why I started Create Magic at Work, because this is deep inner work. And I wanted to bring some fun and some magic and some playfulness as we
Mm,
move through um, doing the deep inner work.
yeah.
Yeah. So follow me on LinkedIn. I do all kinds of fun stuff there.
Well, I think those words are I was going to ask you the words I speak create my world, and you just said it.
Mhm.
Playfulness, another Edgewalker quality, people.
Yeah.
Playfulness. I talk about it in the big approach, the willingness to be playful, the willingness to role play, the power of that in the creating of new systems, in the learning process, in the expansion process. How important that is. Okay, so now we know where people can find you. We can find your book on your website. Is it at Amazon? What and other, independent booksellers, and
Yeah.
as well as your cards, all of
Yeah.
those things?
The book and the cards, you can get them if you get them from the website, you get like a special magic package in the mail, and you'll get like the Flying Wish paper with it. So if you want all that, go to the website, because that's, packaged from Create Magic at Work. Amazon,
Yes, and you want that. You
yeah,
want
Amazon,
that.
yeah. Amazon, you'll get the book in the mail. So your choice. Also, Creating Career Magic, the journal, is on Amazon, and it leads typically in the top rankings for business and stress. So I basically took the journal prompt cards and created a journal out of them. So if you want a place to write, um, you can get Creating Career Magic on Amazon.
Love that. I love journaling. And plenty of data out there, people, that supports the power of journaling. Um, and in changing our consciousness. So, well, Amy Lynn, thank you so much for being on the edge of every day. It's been a complete and utter joy, as I expected.
Yeah, thank you for having me. And thank you for being such an amazing host and preparing all these beautiful moments for everyone to experience in our conversation. This was amazing. I'm just so grateful that we've connected, Sandra, and that we're friends. And I can't wait to
Oh,
see what's next. So thank you.
oh, amen. Thank you so much, Amy. Ditto, 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 right back at you. And for those who are listening, you can find the old episodes of The Edge of Every Day, the original ones, 56 from Talk Radio. You can find them at my YouTube channel, Sandra Bargman, on the Edge of Every Day. They are soon to be put back out on all of the platforms. They were on all of the platforms, and they are soon to be put all back out on all of the platforms again. Where we are now, you can find us on all iTunes and major platforms. And that's thanks to Amy Lynn Durham, who helped me to pump this out in a much bigger way. So be sure to share the edge of every day with all of your friends and colleagues. And remember, until we speak again, you are always at the edge of the miraculous. Thanks for listening. Take good care.